Hello beauties, welcome back to my video diary, Lessons in Love. Let's talk about shedding the good girl. Hopefully you watched my previous video where I was talking about developing a new relationship with my needs, wants, and desires. This piece of learning is sort of an extension of that in another way. And before I dive into speaking about that specifically, I just want to tell you from my heart to yours, seriously how important it is if you are a woman to be sitting in circles with women. And I don't just mean video circles and having Zoom chats. I have that in my life and it's so powerful and I love it. And it's not a substitute for being in person with women in flesh and blood, on the land, in deep circle. That's so nourishing and so important for us as women to find our way back to ourselves. We can do that so much better in the presence of other women. So I was really blessed to have spent the weekend in North Carolina with a fabulous group of women at the Wild Women Retreat. And the Wild Women Retreat is something that is just extraordinary, and I was able to continue my work that I'd started on becoming more conscious of and developing a more authentic and loving relationship with the part of me that has needs, wants, and desires. And so as I was in that process over the Wild Women weekend, part of what I needed to do was to look at some things that had been happening in my life that were out of integrity. And it stemmed from an inability to actually own cleanly, honestly, fully, and in my core, my needs, wants, and desires. And so I'd let some things sort of percolate under the surface. I'd let some misinformation stand. I'd let some information not be shared. I had been manipulative and deceptive in this piece of information, keeping it first hidden from myself and then hidden from others. And as I've been in the process of cleaning that up, it's been extraordinarily painful. Painful in a way to go deeply into my behavior without making any excuses for myself, without using the justifications that I've had to excuse that behavior and engaging with those justifications, and instead just dropping all of that and just owning deeply the consequences and the hurt that my choices created. And as I was doing that on the weekend, what happened in that very safe and sacred container was that a very carefully constructed structure or persona that I've been living with for many decades began to fall apart. And it's this mythos or this structure of the good girl. You know, I don't know about you, but I grew up Catholic and learned not only through my religion and through my family, but also through cultural values, how important it was to be a good girl. And everything depended on that for me. My right to exist, my right to be loved, my right to be valued, my self-worth, my sense of agency. And so I have been living in this way, again, because I've been doing shadow work for 10 years. It's not that this was new to me, but I was able to see it more clearly and more deeply than ever before, how this construct has wound its way through every area of my life. And in an attempt to be a good girl, I actually would hide things from myself. And therefore, that would enable me to not be able to be honest with other people because I wasn't even aware of what was going on inside of me. And so as this good girl persona began to crumble away, I began to feel into the reality of the situation, which is I'm just a normal, flawed person like everyone else. And to be held in that space and to be able to let go of that security blanket, it might seem rudimentary or obvious to you, but for me it was anything but that. To be able to be loved and held by other women in the confessional, and more importantly by myself. So I'm completely finished with the idea of needing to be a good girl in order to have a right to be here and a right to exist and all the resulting behaviors that went along with that. And I'm excited about the continued integration of what this is going to mean in my life as I just come to terms with and accept the fact that I am a regular everyday person that is, does good things sometimes and does bad things other times and makes mistakes and does brilliant things, and all of that is okay, and all of me is okay. And I hope that by my sharing this with you, it will trigger something in you about your own thoughts around whether you've maybe had this dynamic of needing to be a good boy or a good girl in order to get love and be accepted and not be ostracized or land in a world of pain or punishment. We don't have to live that way anymore. We get to be flawed and loved at the same time. All right, that's it for today. I'll see you next time.